Okay, so we just got ready for work. We're just waiting for our hair to finish drying so then we can straighten it and go fly out the door for work today. So what we have here is the reduction of today's date on the Gregorian side comes down to 9. The Julian date came down to 5. 9 plus 5 is 14, reduced is 5. So what we're gonna do is one of each here, and I'm gonna show you right on the screen. Shuffling them nice. These are Lumeria cards, which mainly have the activations, like your chakra activations, and then it has one little key phrase on the bottom with a number. So we're gonna go ahead and get that number today. And then these other ones are spirit animal cards, and then just my gold foiled trump cards. So we're gonna shuffle them all individually here. And so what we're gonna do, we'll use these ones for the G side for today's date, 9. What we're gonna do here, after this shuffle, what songs can we think of today that include the word shuffle? That will be a fun little project. Let's see if we can find 9 songs. Unique, meaning fresh news to your ears, like you've never heard it before. You're captivated and willing to go into a new song based on its key in the little title. So it can either be the artist name or just the title at the top, title of the song. And perhaps it's the color vibes that draw you in. Perhaps it's like there's some sort of graphic art on the cover that is resonating with your soul at the time. Maybe it's your favorite colors or your favorite thing. Like maybe you're drawn to the sky, like rainbows or the galaxy, or maybe you're drawn to the water, or like palm trees or different things that can help you cross over that barrier of getting used to constantly evolving one's not only color palette but also musical palette. So oftentimes we find ourselves, especially if we're listening to the radio, what we see is like on pop stations, we see the same songs, maybe like 12 or 13, maybe a 13 playlist is developed according to the most popular trends out there, what's most listened to. So on the pop stations, if you're working long enough out there and you're just limited to the radio, what you find is that the same songs circulate all day. And we find this in our own lives too. We get ourselves into songs that are our favorites, and maybe it's for a nostalgic essence, maybe it's the vibe, like it's got a good beat. But when we reach out and expand past that, we can find some golden gems out there just leaping in blindly. And it all starts with keys. So this card specifically is going to offer another bonus keyword. So be mindful of that today. And let's see. So 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're just gonna push that one aside for now. And work on shuffling the next side of the deck. which will stand for the J side. It's 5. Coincidentally, the name Jesus is a 5-letter word. We brought up Venus earlier. Also another 5-letter word, earth and heart. Being handy, offering a helping hand to others in need during their seasons of needing clarity or focus or awareness. Just simply being here as a messenger to show what I do. I don't get bored. There's always things to do. I don't have a television or a video game system in my house, not even a Nintendo Switch. So for me here, it's simply work, and then in my free time I get to sit down sometimes and do something like this, and it's part of one of my things that I do, but most of the time I just code. I love writing and writing, R-I-G-H-T-I-N-G, writing it out in the flow as it comes through, a series of authenticity in that flow state moment feels like meditation to me. It's still me in my present moment. There are things that I do self-discover in coding that I do tend to leave out because I want to pray on it first and make sure it is okay to share certain things. Sometimes if I have because of all the trauma I have, I've been repairing my short-term memory. And so I do that by repetition. And so I trained my mind how to find positive words and get my word bank back by that repetition. So if the letter A comes up, I try to write down as many A words as possible. I don't do that too much anymore now that we have a vocabulary, a decent sized vocabulary built up. I'm by no means like up there with big words or anything like that. So often I'll repeat the same words simply because it's what I can remember at the time. So what I find in my walk of life is that if I hold on to something like a code that comes out and I let it sit for a few days, if that memory still pops up into my brain, it means it's meant to be there and that it's worth sharing. There's some things that just happen in flow that it doesn't matter when or how it's released, it just goes out there in a glow state of mind. And so all in due timing, and yeah, so I look at it as if I remember it, or say I have a dream at night. And typically I don't dream in my REM state at night any longer. So if I have a dream at night, I don't write it down. I just leave it up to my memory. If I remember it and it unlocks later and it's something to access or assess, we'll do that. Don't typically bring those dreams into writing process. But yeah. So a lot of my last 5 years or so have been building up my memory, specifically with learning how to speak again, actually using worded language. I've always been more of a quiet person, to be honest. Just chill, comfortable in my own element, and so that one we'll put aside. No, we won't do that. I think it's good enough here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one we'll put aside. So that one that flew out there, I look at it as more of a force fly. and we have a structure built up that we're portraying in this moment, and I want to keep it disciplined and in alignment with that vibe, particularly right now. So this one, what we see is, so we have 9 for G and 5 for J, and then 5, the two combined equal 5, 14, 5. But here we're gonna lay out 5 cards because that will offer us a 5-digit sequence. And let's call it right now. We're just gonna use the ordinary alphabet instead of complexifying it. Is that a word? Start with the basics here and we can move forward. Of course, there's different numbers that come through when you play blackjack. So when you have those multi-dimensional perspectives about certain games when it comes to cards, we're just gonna leave it flat here at the military alphabet, A through Z, 1 through 26, and keep it simple. So my great-grandfather used to play cards, and he used to make his own little solo games that he would sit and play at his chair after he read a long book. My great-grandparents could read a single book in one night. They loved reading. He read more of like the mysteries, like I don't know what his book titles were called. He liked to golf. He liked going to the card hall and playing cards with his buddies. I could see that he was more into like the mysteries. My great-grandfather, awesome dude, one who taught me all I know about math. A very, very patient man, sat down with me, developed times tables to help me learn. My great-grandma helped me learn to balance a checkbook when I was 10 years old. So lots of good, peaceful memories with my grandparents, and Lake Havasu was our place. My great-grandfather and I used to swim under the pontoon boat, get little snorkeling gear, and the water is actually clear when you're swimming under the pontoon boat versus like in a wide open lake. It's kind of neat. We used to feed the birdies, like those crows. We used to head down the Colorado River, which is attached to Lake Havasu. You can go to sandbars and such, but we used to head down the Colorado River and hold out crackers to the birds. Like this. The birds would swoop down, the seagulls and the crows, and we'd come and get those crackers right from the sky. It was so cool. But I remember my great-grandma's favorite author was Danielle Still. And one book that comes to mind that she borrowed me that I was able to read was Granny Dan. It was about a ballerina. That's all I remember. All right. So here we go. Do the sum first. So 1. Let's see how we want to do this. 5. We'll just do it from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So now they're stacked. They were drawn left to right. The way they're stacked on top of each other, we're gonna go in reverse in the reveal here. So we have K, King 11. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that down. 11. And then we have 5. So far, 2 spades, black. So 115. We have 3 of hearts. 3. So we're already up to 19 here. Then we have a 9 of hearts. Ooh, double, double. This is like the wild card right here. Kind of like that chain earlier had 9 zeros in it, and you think everything in pairs, 0 0 0 0 0 0 0, and then there's a little tail on the end. So far 2 blacks, 2 reds, 2 spades, 2 hearts. So I'm gonna pull all that in, BB, and then RR. So you have 4. We have 1, 2, 3 with the sum, but we'll put 2 pairs, or a pair on each side, and then 1 at the top here. Dun dun dun. We have a 7 of spades. So another black. So we have 3 spades. They're in the same family. So if you think of like font families, or like serif versus sans serif. Serif has like the little decorative details on the end of your fonts, where sans serif lacks those details. So if I could draw it, like you can think Times New Roman. So it has little fancy extra additional thingies. And then there's decorative fonts. So you have sans serif, serif, and the decorative. So you can think of like Times New Roman. But that is neither here nor there. So we have 16, 19, 28, plus 7 is 35. 35 in the total here. All right. And that all goes up to the summary in the sunshine here. So we already put 5, so we're gonna add 3 more radiants to the sun, because now it's 8. So we have BB, 2, 4, 18, 18, 36, plus 4 is 40, plus 7 is 47. Ooh. That's pretty groovy. All right, so we'll put those aside. Oh, let's write it down here. And I want to double check my math here. 16, 16, 32 plus 8 is 40. Wait. Oh. 16, 16, 32, 33. Yep, 35. So we have an 8. Let's watch this. Kind of like in here, I wish I had a different marker. You can see a C, which is a 3, 2 C's stacked on top of each other. There's a 6, and then another 6. But today is 5. Did that upside down so it looks kind of funny. All right, so what number? So we have a 35 that was produced up here. And it's interesting because earlier I had mentioned Q being the star, and then I hopped aside into my own private arena, my own private life with my own. And I had asked the question, I was like, well, 17 equals 8, 35 equals 8. I was like, does that mean that when the beam of light was activated, It has something to do, well, we know it has something to do with JFK. But we have 8 in that too. So we'll put that aside for a minute. Let's go with the G side. We have 12, water, the overflow. So here we have the number 12, water, which is the inverted triangle. You can see it on here too. What we see in that star is 2 overlapping symbols, basically. This means water, and an upward pointing triangle, that is the ordinary triangle, represents fire. And so that whole, and this is what they all know, right, when they made it, but it represents the duality between the two. So we have 12, water, it's all capitalized. Another opportunity here, and then the overflow, T-O. T plus O is 35. My cat just went flying. All right, so we have water. Can focus in on that card there. Water overflowing, water cleanses, water rejuvenates tranquilly. Blue is by default especially we learned this in color psychology in design school, that blue is by proxy majority's favorite color. Blue represents trustworthiness, it's tranquil, it's serene, and so a lot of branding people out there will use the color blue in their logos because it helps their clientele feel connected with what makes them feel calm inside. So spirit animal today is tiger. Did TG come up earlier in code? I think it did. Let's see. Tiger fire. Woo! So talked about that duality and that balance there. So we have the inverted triangle, and though it's not on this card here, the upward facing triangle, the one that points up, represents fire. When we think of looking up, when we see these balls of gases, stars, they're very, very, very hot. Think of the sun, just, so that's a pretty cool sync right there. And without doing all this additional stuff with 12 plus water capitalized and the TO, we do see the sync in the 35 just in the underline there, that the overflow. And then tiger, what it says is, I choose to be unstoppable. My passion is my power. I am bold. I am brave. Mighty forces come to my aid. So that is your 9 and 5 today, plus 11, 5 sync, 3, 1 plus 2 is 3, but we have 9 also in here too. So we pulled a 5 card and a 9 card, which matches the Gregorian and the Julian dates, which I find pretty cool. Which would leave 11, 3, and 7 behind. We'll kind of push over to the side there. I'm gonna call out 1137. So that's 14 plus 7 is you, 21. right? Yep. And then obviously the 14 written into that. But yeah, here is our outcoming. Gregorian, water. Julian, fire. The card right here says fire. And it's that was a long shuffle, so let's see. Let's use the I need my thingy-mabob here. It fell down and I don't want to find that right now. All right, so keys that come to mind specifically when it comes to searching for keys and new songs today. Let's go with water, fire, brave, because that one was mentioned earlier. Tiger. I can call out two already. Eye of the Tiger. And then there's a Katy Perry song about a tiger, I think. Let's see. Water, fire. So, let's see how many songs we can find with each of these 4 words, unique or nostalgic. So when we think of water, we think of blue. We think of red for fire. Brave. What do I think of when I think of the word brave? I think of orange. And then tiger. Tigers are orange. I think of the crystal amber. So blue, as far as crystal's concerned, I think of sodalite. Red, I think of garnet first. So I'm just writing what first comes to mind here. Orange. Topaz. But that's more yellow. Let's erase that. Orange. Sunstone? Goldstone. And amber is amber. All right. So, musically, keys. Water, fire, brave, tiger. We need one more. Wings. And let's see if Playlist Unique can be built today with at least 14 songs using these keys. And I'll be driving and in movement, so I can't participate in this little meditation session here, but the path has been paved. Just remember the numbers 11. They can honestly go in any order. The way they came out, just as a refresh, be kind and remind. Okay. 5, 3, 9, 7. You can pair them and chain them however you want. An anagram, I'm gonna go ahead and say, however, for purposes of a color code, because the hopes were that I wasn't gonna draw a face card when I initially thought of 5. I was hoping that they were all gonna be lower numbers, so then we would have that code, that 5-digit string. So kind of like gematria, how you go on and whatever you're feeling at the time, whatever your mindset is shaped at the moment, is what you're going to perceive and draw out, with being able to visualize it right in your sight. Whereas the cards are a little more unique because you don't see them beforehand. It's kind of just like a all natural draw. So when you go to Google and you have these numbers, I'll just say start with simple and look up the color code. So here we have 2, 5, 3, 9, 7. So similar to gematria, we can go to Google and we can go into research mode, call it RM, and find what we're drawn to the most under these codes, under these numbers. Sometimes we find Legos, or sometimes we find watches that link to that code. And I bet you anything, you could go online and find the full chain here that would link to something. And it's kind of interesting to see what the heart pulls out. There's a lot of stuff on there, like car parts and different things that your brain just ignores to begin with. But it's a fun little exercise if you choose to participate. And you probably have your own cards and your own, maybe you have dice, maybe you have Pokemon cards, maybe you have something like a book. We're just gonna say 9 and 5, 14, and then we had what, 72, and there was a number in there. We have 35. So if you happen to have a book nearby or the Bible, you can go on and research verses 3, 5 verses 1, 4, a whole chapter 9, a whole chapter 5, and you can take in and absorb books that way. What else do we have? 35. I'm gonna say, like, even if it's a children's book, even if it's anything really, you have all the tools abundant around you to open up to that page and see what you find. But you don't have to use my numbers just because I put them out there. I am just showing an example and leadership of how it can be done in flow. And you can come up with your own keys. You can do whatever you want. That's the fun, unique part of all of it. And so hopefully this helps make sense of more meaning for you in your everyday walk of life. And may you stay blessed and peaceful and abundant. And may the best days forward yet to come totally blow your mind. Takes trust, guys. Trust. And if you want to see trust, let's do that one last thing and then I gotta head out. TRUST. All right. I think it's this. Yep. It's backwards. Sorry. I don't think it's backwards when the recording's actually finished. But we can double check our math here just to make sure. Can't pull out my calculator quickly to see, but I'm pretty sure. 38, 48, 58 minus 1, or plus 1, 59, 69, 79 minus 1, 78, 88, 98. All right, so check that off, and may you have a fabulous day. Love you guys.